Hey everyone, so in this video I'm going to talk about designing enjoyable piano practice and life tasks, part 2, so that you hopefully don't dread piano practice or other things that you have to do. And on this channel I hope to give you strategies, mindsets, methodologies, and so on that hopefully will help your piano practice and maybe other areas in your life as well. And I did make a part 1 on this video already. This is kind of a different take on that, reframing in a different way, giving some more ideas and context and just some different thoughts that I had. So, and I'm looking at some notes here, I thought it'd be helpful to write them out. I wanted to look specifically more at looking at what makes you not want to do that given thing, all different sorts of aspects of it, and asking yourself, once you've listed them out, like these are all the reasons why I don't want to go practice the piano, why I don't want to do a given task, and so on. And asking yourself one by one, can I eliminate this? Can I get this reason that's making me not want to do the thing? Can I just get rid of this so that I do want to do it? Can I change it so that I do want to do it? And also going to the opposite extreme, asking yourself, what can I do to make myself love this task? This thing that I'm dreading right now, how can I design or alter or change it and be imaginative about it such that I can't wait to do it? I wake up in the morning and I think like, wow, I can't wait to do whatever that thing is. Right, so these two frameworks or these two thought experiments, they've helped me a lot in both piano playing and in many other areas as well. So I thought I'd talk through just one piano example and one non-piano example. So of course, as you might expect, I'm going to just talk about practicing the piano again. So here are some reasons that you might not want to practice the piano, either in general or on a day-to-day basis, and how you can hopefully flip it around and redesign things, reframe things such that you do want to do it or you're even really looking forward to doing it. So one is that you don't have any idea what you're doing. It's hard to feel motivated when you don't even know if anything that you're doing in your practice is of any use at all, if it's an effective use of your time, and so on. I highly suggest investing in a teacher if possible, because you're basically paying for tons of time and energy back that teacher has already spent, so you don't have to go off in lots of random directions and everything. It could be a serious teacher, it could be a casual teacher, depending on your needs. And if that's completely impossible, well, we live in an age where there are many YouTube channels, online resources, hopefully this is one of them, and you just want to find a trustworthy source such that if you continue to watch the videos and the content you continue to implement, eventually reach the point where you do feel like you know what you're doing, and hopefully that will inspire you to want to practice more. You're armed with that knowledge, you feel confident that you're headed in a positive direction. Another big reason would be if you don't like the music that you're playing very simplistic little pieces, you're only doing technical exercises that you don't enjoy, and so on. So you want to make sure that the source that you're following, whether it is a teacher, a real life teacher, or it's this channel or an online source or whatever it is, that it will make it so that you can play the music that you love, that it would be a dream to play for your family and friends, or to just sit down and be able to play for yourself. So either that you can immediately do that, or that you can do that in as short a time as possible, right? So even if you're practicing something that's not the music that you love, you know that in a very short time you'll be able to start working on the music that really inspires you, because that obviously will make a big difference in terms of whether you want to go and practice the piano. And another big one is not having enough motivation, willpower. You know, you're just tired from the workday overall. You feel like you don't have the mental and emotional bandwidth. I hear this from students all the time, honestly. And here I go into great detail actually in that first video, the other designing enjoyable piano practice and life task video. So I think you can go back and watch that. That's very much about designing optimal time of day, optimal cue, optimal reward, optimal environment, and realizing that you don't have to be in this framework where you have to summon up motivation, where you have to like will up more willpower, because that's just not the way that humans function really. So it's like, can I remove that dependence on motivation? You basically can. Can you remove that dependence on willpower? You remove them as much as possible so that you're not reliant on motivation, even though it may come and go, and you might get lucky some days. And you're not dependent on huge amounts of willpower. Instead, you rely on a very, very small amount of willpower. You make the willpower cost so low that even if you're super tired, you can still go ahead and execute that given task, right? So I talk about that in that first video in quite a bit of detail. And somewhat related to this is thinking like, oh, the practice is just too intimidating. I have no idea what to do, where to start. I guess instead of the confusion part, in terms of intimidation, I also think about just tasks that are too large, practicing sections that are too difficult, and you can remove that complexity and that intimidation factor by designing small, approachable tasks, practicing 1 minute a day, practicing in tiny little sections. I also talk about that in that first video as well. So again, for each one of these, we are taking the reason that we don't want to practice the piano, and we're asking, can we eliminate that reason? For instance, like, it's too intimidating to practice. Well, why is it intimidating? Can we remove that intimidation factor? And then what would make me love it, right? I would love it if it were just small, approachable tasks that I can just check off very easily as like brushing my teeth, right? Because, and then all those small wins, that'll compound on itself, that'll make me feel good about it, so that'll make me want to get up and practice in the morning. It'll make me want to practice when I get home from work and so on. And I'm going to talk about, because I gave the example, funnily enough, of recording YouTube videos, long-form YouTube videos, in that first part, designing enjoyable piano practice and life tasks. So this time I thought I would talk about YouTube Shorts, because recently I started recording something like 3 YouTube Shorts a day. Sometimes I do a little bit more, a little bit less. Sometimes I skip a day. And that's kind of a lot, but I found that it's helped to grow the channel, to grow some subscribers, and it's something that seems to be helping students and so on. And I wanted to talk through my thought process for that, because that was also something where I was like, would it be better just to not do this? Because it does take some time and energy. I'm not really sure if the ROI is worth it. And so this is how I reasoned through it. So here are some of the reasons that I didn't want to create YouTube Shorts, especially 3 of them a day, and why I ultimately reasoned that it was worth it to do it. And now it's something that I look forward to the vast majority of the time. So the first is that it's time consuming, because yeah, it can take a while to go over to the piano and then record 3 YouTube Shorts. So I try to think, how can I make this not time consuming? Well, first of all, I try to batch the work. So I'm not like practicing and I think, oh, I got to record that first YouTube short. And then I practice some more and then I think, oh, I got to record that like second YouTube short later today. And then like late at night, I'm like, oh yeah, I still didn't record that third one. And that would I would definitely give up on it if that were the case. So I just record all of them all at once. Like if I'm recording, there's definitely only 1 session a day. Sometimes it may be that I'm batching like several days worth or longer within one day, depending on the situation. I thought it was rather tedious to add lots of captions. Some of them I have added lots of captions, and I found that in terms of the results, I'm not a YouTube expert, so I'm not investing tons of time to master YouTube. I'm not pretending to try to. That wouldn't be worth the time for me right now. But I found that adding more captions, it didn't necessarily make them perform better. It wasn't the case that people said like, oh, we love these way more. It didn't result in many more subscribers or many more comments. People seem just as happy with simpler ones. So then it's like, can I not add captions? I don't think I should just not add any captions, but I just try to make them simpler. Add a smaller number of captions. What is the fewest number of captions such that people can still get value out of seeing my practice, right? And that was another big part. It's kind of related to, I thought, oh, maybe this is taking away from my practice and other goals. I'm spending all this time making YouTube shorts, making content. That's time I could be spending practicing the piano, helping my students more, working on my business more, and so on. So I asked myself, can I make it so that it doesn't take away from my practicing and other goals? And I believe that I have done that, because I've just made it my real practice and my real teaching. So when I answer a real student's question, that is an actual student that's working like with me right now. They've asked me a question, I record the answer, I don't say their name, and then I just make it go public. And in my practicing, I still have to make some decisions. Like it's not just like a totally random part of my practice, but I think what would be of value for others to see, and then I think like even just my general day-to-day practice, even without further comments, that might be helpful because people want to know, how is David, learning pieces the way that he's doing and so on. So I think in general that's helpful. And then I think, I should be recording my practice each day anyway. Maybe I wasn't doing enough of that before. I should be analyzing my own practice anyway. I should be explaining how my practice applies to my students' practice, to the practice of any subscribers or any people that are happening to watch the videos. So it's very in alignment, and for me it really only works in terms of the worthiness of time efficiency and so on, if it's something I'm already doing. So it's like, I'm a pianist, I'm going to be practicing, I'm going to be teaching and everything, and it's not an extra thing to do on the side. It is just my real actual practice. It's just, there's a certain target of time when I think, okay, I'm going to turn on the camera now, and then when something good happens, then I'm like, all right, that was good, let me just cut it there, and I file it away to like edit later very briefly, and then I just continue practicing, right? So it's not extra time, and it's something that's in alignment with my other goals as opposed to something extra. If it weren't, then I wouldn't do it either. And I think like, oh, this is affecting my freedom. It's affecting the time when I can go outside with my wife, or I can go and explore the city and everything, because I have a fairly open and free schedule now. So I make it during a part of the day such that it won't affect my freedom of choice later in the day. I've removed that factor that originally made me not want to do the thing. And I was also like, I wasn't sure if it actually helps my business, my students, like practice and everything that much. Is it still, after having said all that, does it really help? Is it really worth it? And you got to do something long enough such that you can observe the data. Don't just give up on it right away because you don't immediately like the results. So I've done it for about a month and a half now, almost 2 months. And even during this time, which isn't even a huge amount of time, I've had students, my current students, say that it's really helped them. I've had total strangers reach out to me through Facebook, through Instagram, YouTube comments and so on, saying that it's helped them and that they enjoy seeing the practice and everything. Sorry, I've been slow responding to comments now that I'm making so many more videos and shorts and things. And I do feel that it's genuinely helping my practice because I'm able to listen to myself playing, analyze my practice, reflect on it much more. And it's helping the business because even if it doesn't directly lead to new students right away, a lot of people that reach out, they say that they've seen the videos, they like that there's so much content, there's so much proof of, the methods that I'm actually teaching and so on. They feel more confident because they know that I can actually play the piano and everything. They see real examples of playing and teaching. It's not just contrived for YouTube, like for the sake of content, it's just the actual given thing. I think that's what's so great about just being authentic to yourself and doing what you love. So, and then of course, the more successful that the business is, the more people that I can help, the more I can help my current students, the more that I can help students all over the world, the more that I can help piano teachers. So it's very in alignment with all of my values, in line with my mission to help as many students and teachers all over the world as possible. So then I feel really motivated to continue creating them. And maybe over time, if things go well enough, then I'll hire somebody else so that I don't have to even edit them and they can be more fancy and so on. But for now, I think it's totally fine. So anyway, I hope that hearing me just reason and think through that was helpful. It's not really only specifically for piano practice. It's not obviously specifically only for creating YouTube long form videos or YouTube shorts. I think that's just something everybody can understand. Think about other areas in your life, in your work life, in your personal life. You don't have to be an entrepreneur. There are so many things that are under our control in terms of life design. There are so many variables that you can play around with. That task that you're dreading, it doesn't have to be that way. That is just your frame of mind. That's just the way that you're thinking about it. You're doing things a certain way, you're thinking about it in a certain way. There's no reason why you can't completely flip that around. I'm not saying that a solution will always be obvious, even all that stuff I just shared with you. It took, honestly, at least 3 to 4 weeks before I thought of some of the things that I just said. I feel like I've had some more breakthroughs recently. So you got to be really creative, and you got to be willing to experiment. Because I've experimented, and I was like, okay, that like really didn't work. So then I had to redesign it again, right? Be willing. I guess that's the last thought. Be willing to redesign again and again and again as you run the experiments and find out your happiness ROI on each thing that you try in your practice and in other areas in your life. So I hope that you found that useful. If so, please like and subscribe and tell people about the channel. And yeah, looking forward to the next one.